So Martin is going to cover a short demonstration of VisionX. So I'll hand over to you, Martin, if that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share my screen. There we go. Okay, so welcome to this quick session on VisionX, to pick up from where Ellie, Simon and Alistair left off with their session, just generally to give a quick overview to people who are not familiar with it, what it's all about. So what is VisionX? It's a central source of information for your local authority, MAT or support team from Bromcom. It aggregates data from multiple schools into a single data set regardless of your MIS. So whether it's Bromcom, SIMS, ScholarPack, Arbor, RM, they're all covered and we have connectivity to them. They're all placed into a data set that you can examine, analyze and query either by a in-house set of analytics, which will look at these key demographics and KPIs here, or Power BI. VisionX is a perfect solution for Power BI because it's generally recognized that it's not the easiest of processes to get all of your data out of your MIS into a central data set for multiple schools. Bromcom does this with VisionX and provides you with a curated data feed. As with everything Bromcom, it is fully cloud-based and it is accessible, anywhere, anytime, via whatever web interface you have available to yourself. So, as a quick overview of how it works, on the left-hand side, you will have your, should we say, 3 school scenarios. The first one, if it's a Bromcom school, we can connect up to the VisionX database via our own data feed. That is very, very sophisticated and very flexible and can be scheduled to run at multiple times during the day if you wish. School B would be a locally hosted SIM school. So what's happened historically is we have had a number of large contracts with multi-academy trusts and they have taken on additional schools. Those schools have been SIMs and haven't swapped over their MIS system when they join the trust. They usually wait a year. So we've created our VisionX connector, which will take information from a school's SIM server into that VisionX system there. We're now faced with another scenario with multiple cloud-based MIS systems coming along, and of course SIMS 8. So we use a third-party connector wand. Most of you are probably familiar with it. They have connectivity to virtually every MIS system out there, which allows us to complete that last part of the jigsaw there. So whatever your MIS system, we can get that into your VisionX database to use via in-house analytics, or as we'll see later in the session from Nick and Linda from One IT, synchronize with Power BI. You can also, at a local authority level, if you wish, interrogate that SQL database with your own queries or extract data via our API. It is then distributed to the end user, our analytics or Power BI functionality, wherever, as I mentioned, wherever you have that web interface. So let's jump into the software. Okay, we're on this tab here. So this is our home screen. Hopefully it hasn't locked me out since I there we go, last logged in. So here we will see a dashboard of all of the schools that we have access to. So here we're working on a, should we say, a trust scenario where there's about 50 schools. Simon, Ellie and Alistair's team in Somerset, I think they said they're seeing about 15. On each of those, we can open in a new tab and see the last synchronization, so we can check it's all working perfectly. Down the left-hand side, we have our admin functionality and a number of different ways of dropping into our data. Okay, so here we can see our transfer logs coming in. There they are there. You know, and we can see we're not erroring in any way at all. So back to our home screen. Let's start off by looking at our various analyses. And on our live dashboard here, we have COVID-19. As we've already heard today, the overwhelming challenge of our time. And with a very, very simple click, we can bring a dashboard together. It's taken about 10 seconds of either an individual school. So we've got primary school 1 here, 408 students. If we want to see the 23 who sit in that group, we can see them there. Okay. Because this is cloud-based, as soon as the codes change from the DFE, we can implement that more or less instantaneously. And this dashboard was available to our multi-academy trusts within 24 hours from the DFE guidance coming out. If we wanted to go to all schools, and we've got about 50 schools here, I've just clicked that, and it's going to take probably maybe about 5-10 seconds for it to draw together a complete dashboard of our whole multi-academy trust or our whole local authority. Fingers crossed, there we go. Wait. That was working perfectly. Oh, there we go. It's gone. It's just taking a little bit longer because I'm streaming to the audience at the same time. But you can see that we've returned the COVID data for over 10,000 students within a matter of about 10 seconds. Down here, we have a number of dashboards we can look at as well. The first one is sort of a demographic overview of the schools we're working with in the local authority. We are piloting this at local authority level and with individual cohorts such as multi-academy trusts within Somerset. So we can see here we would have a county logo, your trust logo, and the amount of schools who are involved together with all of these key KPIs. Nothing stands still in Bromcom land, and we are working on these trends here as well, and we'll see them on some of our dashboards. So we're not dealing with static data, we can see whether it's all moving within the right direction. If we look at our attendance overview, okay, again, key indicators at the top. We've got our attendance breakdown by national curriculum year group across all 30 schools. So if I wanted to know this problem area here in year 1, I can click there and it will return the data to me straight away that sits behind those statistics, and it's all here. Okay, and this is your data. You know, we let you use it in whichever way you see fit. So this little button here will allow you to pop that out to Excel and interrogate whichever methods you feel is most appropriate. We can swap from attendance to absence, persistence absences there, and we can see we've got our big problem in year 1. Pop that back, and settings here at the top. We can distill that information down even further. We've got all of our year groups there. We can look at schools, individual phases, or quite often what's popular with local authorities is school sets. So if you're a support team, you might have a number of multi-academy trusts sat within that area. You may have specific geographical regions. We're working with an authority who's got 25 geographical regions, and those will be split out there as well. We can have a student overview. Okay, and as we hop into here, we will see this is the first implementation of our comparisons with national statistics. We are working on further analysis whereby you will soon be able to have a more or less a comparator with live data rather than the national ones, because national ones can be quite out of date. And that's probably working along the same lines as CISRA do. Everyone who uses the product is in an anonymized data pool if they want to join, and that then provides us and the end user with fairly accurate figures to do comparative benchmarks for schools in a local postcode or of a similar demographic makeup. Okay, so here we're looking at students by national curriculum year group. If we wanted to break that down even further, so how many are pupil premium? We're looking across 32 schools in our whole trust, in this case, or authority, nearly 9,000 of them, and this is our breakdown. And we can see individual numbers, or we can click to see a percentage. And again, a quick click there on an individual cell. It will go full screen and return the data that is behind that visual representation. We do have further breakdowns here that allow for comparisons. So if we wanted to look at an attendance comparison across all of the schools or various cohorts in our local authority, we can see here. If you need to pop the visuals out for a report or change to a vertical graph, you can do. And we do have our filters on the right-hand side. So at the moment, we're hiding our aggregate figure, our average. We can click show and apply. And what that is giving us now is the average attendance statistics potentially for the whole of the local authority there. You can see a little bit further the individual schools that are involved. These will all have different names. We've used the same name with different codings, but you could click on one, and if your permissions allow, the bottom area here will return the students who fit that criteria from that school there. If you move to that school there, you can actually then see the students' attendance figures in that school. Okay, we can look at the same for behaviour, although behaviour policies sort of do vary. We can look at individual students as a head count for staff. If we want to take more of an interest, should we say, in staff absences, you know, particularly in the era we're living in, we can see all our staff absences coming in here. We're only working on 3 schools in this screen, but if we wanted to put our filters on, we can do. Let's have a look at the reason, and we can distill down further into individual absence criteria or staff criteria as well. And we can do that with our students. If you wanted to focus on certain demographics, you know, like white British females on pupil premium, the system will return that information as well. And we can see straight from there, very, very good for comparative purposes. This area here, Bromcom MIS school, has got far and away the highest incidences of sickness within the group we're actually studying. Other areas we can actually look at is we do have what we call grid data here. So say particularly for member of local authority data teams who maybe don't use the visuals so much but want to export information out, this will give you a very, should we say, Excel styled approach to data. You can do all your searches and filters and then just pop it out there. We can do the same for exclusions and staff absences as well. We have 3 other areas where we can look at this here. So if I wanted to look at students, this is an extension of one of the most popular features in our MIS system, our sort of one-click admin screen. So what we've got here is we have got all of the students, all 11,000 of them within our local authority. And if I wanted to filter on a particular year group, do I want to filter on whether or not they're looked after? If say yes, filter, that then will return 282 looked after children, and I could filter whether they're pupil premium. I can order them by first name or last name here, and just simply give that to someone who has asked me for that information. If the data I'm looking for isn't contained here, I can click on this button, and actually it might say, well, I don't want to know whether they were summer born. I want to know what their date of birth is, and I would like to see whether they've got English as an additional language. Okay, and then we save, And what that will do is it will redraw the table, giving you exactly the information you need for the report that's being requested of you to simply pop out into Excel. There are other filter options here. You can bring into how you want to sort your data if need be over a specific time frame. But what I'd probably like to do now is I'll quickly pop off into the Power BI area, which will link us to what we're looking at in our next session. Power BI is one of, I think, probably the best uses of VisionX. And what we do is we provide all these analytics tabs to local authorities out of the box, all linked up to the data, ready to go. So if we're looking at attendance and exclusions, this is your dashboard. It's always reassuring to see these little whirls because it tells you it's retrieving all the data. Once the data's retrieved, you can just click more or less instantaneously and it will redraw. As the screen appears, you can see you have your data set in the middle and you have a number of different ways you can slice and dice that data. So we can see here, schools. These are all the schools that are in the data set. I think there's about 53 of them. You can look at phase. Okay, there we go, there's about 50 odd there. You can look at phase. You're looking at phase across the whole authority or across a cohort of schools. Your academic year, if you want to be specific on your dates, you've got a date slider. And then we do have additional filters here, the classic filters you have in an MIS, your free school meals, gender, pupil premium, gifted and talented, travel mode, ethnicity, etc., etc. So these are screens that multi-academy trusts and local authorities have told us they need to see, and we have developed them out of the box for the VisionX solution. So our headline figures with the comparative to the national data. If we wanted to look at individual schools, we can then start to look at individual schools. If we want to look at our attendance, we can sort high to low, our authorized absences, high to low, likewise with our unauthorized absences here. Now, what's really useful, at any point, we can do a right click in this cell and drill through and see the data behind it, either with an attendance focus or a demographic focus. Okay, so we can see there all of the students who sat behind that particular cell of data is there for us to analyze or pop out via Excel and do something further with. Okay. We can look at individual groups or cohorts. What we tend to find is, due to the difficulties of getting data all into one system, if you were asked, shall we say, for the attendance statistics for your, shall we say, Black African female cohort in the current year across, in this case, 50 odd schools, there we go, we've clicked and it's there. It's instantaneous. Okay, so we can see our data, 95.1% attendance. Okay, and we can see the split for each individual year. Okay, how has that changed 2021 to 1920? Okay, so we click there and we go back to last year and it's 93%. So our attendance rate for that particular cohort has increased by nearly 2%. Okay, very powerful, very powerful analytics, and it's something that our users have told us it saves them an enormous amount of time. We can do the same for cohorts. This is a new area here, so we're looking at the same data set and we're grouping together all our gifted and talented, ethnicities, free school meals, and we can just click. We see the data there, and it then will return to our graphics if appropriate. And at that point in time, of course, as before, I've got my drill through. Okay. I won't take too long on this because I'm actually eating into the next session's time, but what I'll do on the last screen here, I will show you demographics and geographical information. Okay, so we've got our demographic overview of the whole trust, and as before, we can slice and dice the data in whatever way we see fit. We can click, see the information, and drill through behind each cell. Okay, one of the areas, we've got another tab here, geographical mapping. This allows you to look at data in a completely different way, and it allows you to see and examine trends that probably don't present them to yourself in a table. Okay, so what we're looking at here is postcode mapping to a particular area. Let's focus in, shall we say, on Northampton. And as we can see, as we go in, we're more or less going into individual school level. And what we see a number of schools doing now is overlaying this student data onto areas of high COVID risk. And as before, if we clicked on any one of these points, we have a summary of our students together with some pastoral factors and core attendance data as well. Okay, so I think at that point, slightly overrun, and I will look to hand over to our colleagues from 1IT in the next few minutes, unless anyone's got any questions within the chat area.
I'm just checking the chat, Martin. I don't think there are any questions on the chat, so unless anyone wants to raise anything later on in the sessions, we can pick those up at the end. Or indeed, if anyone wants to book a more in-depth demonstration of VisionX, please contact either Martin or myself after today's event, and we'll be more than happy to set that up. Thank you, Martin.